Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni. 160th verses from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel Thien Thai in the USA. Oneself, indeed, is one's savior. For what other savior would there be? With oneself well controlled, one obtains a savior difficult to find. During the time of the Buddha, there was a monk who depended completely upon others for spiritual progress. He believed that staying near wise teachers alone would naturally bring enlightenment. Yet even after listening to the Dharma, every day his mind still became restless, angry, and discouraged. One day the Buddha gently asked him why suffering still remained in his heart. The monk bowed respectfully and replied that perhaps he lacked enough blessings to awaken. The Buddha then taught him with compassion that no person could walk the path for another. A teacher may guide, a friend may encourage, the Sangha may support, but each person must calm and purify their own mind. Hearing these words, the monk awakened to the truth of personal responsibility. From that day, he stopped waiting for miracles and practiced mindfulness sincerely in every moment. Gradually, peace began to grow within him. Another story tells of a young woman who constantly suffered because her happiness depended on the opinions of others. When people praised her, she felt joyful. When they criticized her, she felt broken and hopeless. One day, she heard the Buddha teach this verse. Suddenly, she understood that she had given the key of her peace to the world around her. From that moment, she began learning to return to herself through mindful breathing and gentle awareness. She learned to calm her emotions before reacting. She learned to speak kindly to herself instead of searching endlessly for approval. Slowly, fear and sadness lost their power over her life. Dear friends, this verse is very short, yet its wisdom is immeasurable. Human beings spend much of life searching outside themselves for someone or something to rescue them. Some seek rescue through wealth. Some seek rescue through relationships. Some seek rescue through praise and recognition. Yet the Buddha teaches that the greatest refuge is the awakened heart within ourselves. Compassion from others is precious. Guidance from teachers is precious. Loving friendships are precious. But no one can meditate for us. No one can purify our minds for us. No one can awaken in our place. Therefore, the Buddha reminds us to return inward and discover the peaceful refuge already existing within our own awareness. Dear friends, many people misunderstand the meaning of self-control in Buddhism. They imagine it means suppressing emotions or forcing the mind through harsh discipline. But true self-control is gentle and compassionate. It is the ability to recognize anger without becoming consumed by anger. It is the ability to recognize fear without allowing fear to rule every action. A mindful person does not reject emotions. Instead, they observe emotions with calm awareness and wisdom. Imagine muddy water inside a glass jar. If the jar is shaken constantly, the water remains cloudy. But if the jar is placed down quietly, the mud slowly settles and clarity naturally appears. The mind works in the same way. When we constantly chase distractions, desires, and worries, the heart remains restless. But when we practice mindfulness through breathing, meditation, and compassionate living, clarity slowly appears. The Buddha understood deeply that suffering begins inside the mind. Two people may experience the same difficulty yet respond in completely different ways. One person may become overwhelmed by anger, bitterness, and despair. Another person may remain calm, patient, and understanding. The difference lies not in the situation itself, but in the training of the mind. This is why the Buddha taught that the greatest victory is not conquering others, but conquering oneself. A person who cannot control anger becomes a prisoner of anger. A person who cannot control greed becomes a prisoner of greed. But a person who understands the mind discovers a freedom that cannot easily be shaken by changing circumstances. The modern world moves very quickly. Human beings are surrounded by endless noise, distractions, and pressure. Many people constantly compare themselves to others and therefore lose touch with inner peace. Some believe happiness depends upon becoming richer, more successful, or more admired. Yet even after obtaining these things, many still feel empty and anxious. Why? Because external conditions can never provide permanent security in an impermanent world. Wealth changes. Beauty changes. Relationships change. Fame changes. The Buddha taught that suffering grows when people cling tightly to things that naturally change. This does not mean we should reject life or refuse joy. Buddhism teaches appreciation, not attachment. We can enjoy beautiful moments while understanding that everything eventually changes. A flower is precious because it blooms for only a short time. Human life is also precious because it is temporary. When we deeply understand impermanence, gratitude naturally appears. We stop wasting life in endless complaint and comparison. We begin appreciating each breath, each sunrise, and each opportunity to practice kindness. Dear friends, another important part of becoming one's own refuge is learning to stop blaming others for every suffering in life. Human beings often believe happiness depends completely upon changing other people. We think peace will come only if others speak differently, behave differently, or treat us differently. Yet even if the whole world changes according to our wishes, the mind may still remain restless because the roots of suffering continue living within us. The Buddha never denied that painful situations exist. He understood deeply that human life includes loss, disappointment, sickness, aging, and separation. However, he also taught that our reactions often create more suffering than the original problem itself. Imagine a person struck by an arrow. The first arrow causes pain. But if that person continues replaying hatred, resentment, and self-pity inside the mind, it becomes like being struck by a second arrow. Through mindfulness, we learn to remove the second arrow. We begin responding wisely instead of reacting blindly. This transformation requires patience because old habits do not disappear immediately. Yet every mindful breath weakens ignorance and strengthens wisdom. During the lifetime of the Buddha, there was a man famous for his violent temper. Even small inconveniences caused him to explode with rage. Friends feared him and family members avoided him. One day he approached the Buddha and asked whether a person like him could ever truly change. The Buddha compassionately instructed him to observe his breath whenever anger began to arise. At first he failed many times. He still shouted and reacted carelessly. But gradually he started noticing anger before it completely controlled him. He recognized heat in the body and tension in the mind. He discovered fear and insecurity hidden beneath his aggression. Through continuous mindfulness, space slowly appeared between emotion and action. Years later, the same man became known for his patience and kindness. People were astonished by the transformation. Yet the Buddha simply smiled because he understood that every human being contains both destructive seeds and awakened seeds. The direction of life depends upon which seeds we nourish every day. Dear friends, spiritual practice is not separate from ordinary daily life. Many people believe meditation exists only inside temples or during formal prayer. Yet the Buddha taught that every moment can become part of the path. When we speak gently to another person, that is practice. When we listen with compassion, that is practice. When we pause before reacting in anger, that is practice. Enlightenment is not found somewhere far away from daily life. It is discovered within daily life through awareness, compassion, and wisdom. Even washing dishes can become meditation if we remain fully present in the moment. Even walking beneath the sky can become a sacred experience if the mind is peaceful and awake. The Buddha's path is beautifully simple, yet the human ego often seeks complexity. We search endlessly outside ourselves while ignoring the treasure already existing within our own hearts. Another important teaching connected to this verse is forgiveness. Some people carry resentment for many years. They replay painful memories repeatedly until bitterness becomes part of their identity. Yet hatred never truly heals suffering. It only continues the cycle of pain. The Buddha compared anger to holding burning coals with the intention of throwing them at another person. Before the coals reach anyone else, they already burn the hand holding them. Forgiveness does not mean pretending harmful actions were acceptable. It means choosing not to poison the present moment with endless hatred. Sometimes forgiveness happens slowly, especially when wounds are deep. But every step toward compassion creates more freedom within the heart. A peaceful mind cannot grow in soil filled constantly with resentment. Dear friends, the Buddha's teaching also reminds us to cultivate contentment. Modern society constantly encourages people to desire more possessions, more status, and more pleasure. Yet endless craving creates endless dissatisfaction. A person may become wealthy, yet still remain anxious about losing wealth. Another person may become famous, yet still fear criticism and rejection. Craving resembles drinking salty water. The more one drinks, the greater the thirst becomes. Contentment does not mean laziness or lack of aspiration. It means understanding what is truly enough for a peaceful life. A grateful person experiences richness even in simplicity. A greedy person experiences poverty even while surrounded by luxury. Therefore, the Buddha encouraged people to nourish gratitude, mindfulness, and compassion rather than endless desire. When the heart learns to appreciate simple blessings, peace naturally grows. Dear friends, perhaps some of you listening today are carrying pain, loneliness, or fear inside your hearts. Perhaps you feel uncertain about the future or burdened by memories from the past. The Buddha's teaching does not ask you to reject these feelings. Instead, it invites you to hold them gently with awareness and compassion. Begin with small steps. Sit quietly for a few minutes each day and follow your breathing. Speak kindly to yourself. Avoid words and actions that create suffering for yourself and others. Read teachings that nourish wisdom. Spend time with people who encourage goodness and understanding. Slowly the heart becomes calmer. Slowly anger weakens. Slowly fear loses its power. Spiritual transformation does not usually happen through sudden miracles. It unfolds gradually through sincere daily practice. Like water slowly smoothing a stone, mindfulness gently transforms the mind over time. The Buddha never taught that enlightenment belongs only to special people. He taught that every human being possesses the capacity for awakening. Within every person there are seeds of wisdom, compassion, patience, and understanding. The problem is that many people forget this inner light because they become lost in greed, hatred, and confusion. The purpose of Dharma practice is to awaken the goodness already existing inside the heart. Every mindful breath waters the seeds of awakening. Every act of kindness weakens selfishness. Every moment of understanding brings us closer to liberation. Therefore, dear friends, never underestimate the value of small, sincere efforts. A mountain is formed from countless grains of earth. A river is formed from countless drops of water. In the same way, enlightenment grows from countless moments of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. Dear friends, the Buddha's verse shines like a compassionate lamp across thousands of years because it speaks directly to the human condition. Every person experiences suffering, fear, uncertainty, aging, and loss. Yet within every person, there is also the possibility of awakening. The Buddha teaches us not to become prisoners of circumstance, but caretakers of our own minds. We cannot always control what happens around us, but we can learn to guide how we respond. This inner freedom is one of the greatest treasures in life. A person grounded in mindfulness becomes stable like a mountain. Praise cannot intoxicate them completely. Criticism cannot destroy them completely. Gain and loss, pleasure and pain continue to move through life like changing winds, yet the awakened heart remains calm and balanced. Step by step, through mindfulness, ethical living, compassion, and wisdom, we discover the refuge that cannot be destroyed by impermanence. Then we finally understand the true meaning of the Buddha's words. The Savior we search for outside has always been quietly waiting within our own mindful and awakened awareness. Dear friends, there is one more beautiful truth hidden within this verse that we should contemplate carefully. Many people spend years searching for peace in distant places while forgetting to care for the present moment. Some believe they will finally become peaceful after gaining success. Some believe happiness will arrive after obtaining more wealth or recognition. If the mind cannot be peaceful now, then even favorable conditions may not create lasting happiness. A person sitting beside a beautiful river may still feel restless if the heart is filled with anxiety and craving. Another person living simply may feel deep contentment because the mind is calm and grateful. Therefore, the Buddha continually encouraged people to return to awareness in the present moment. When drinking tea, know that you are drinking tea. When walking, know that you are walking. When listening to another person, listen fully with compassion and attention. These simple practices gradually gather the scattered mind back into peace. Sometimes people ask why meditation is important. Meditation is important because it helps us see ourselves clearly. Most people spend their lives reacting automatically to thoughts and emotions without understanding where those thoughts and emotions come from. Meditation slows the mind enough for wisdom to appear. Through silent observation, we begin recognizing the patterns creating suffering. We notice how attachment creates fear. We notice how pride creates conflict. We notice how impatience destroys peace. This understanding is the beginning of liberation. The Buddha did not ask people to blindly believe his teachings. He encouraged direct experience. He encouraged each person to look deeply into their own heart. Through practice, we gradually discover that peace does not depend upon controlling the entire world. Peace grows when the mind learns acceptance, compassion, and balance. Dear friends, we should also remember that every difficulty in life can become part of the path toward awakening. Painful experiences often teach wisdom more deeply than comfort. A person who has suffered understands compassion more sincerely. A person who has faced loss understands impermanence more clearly. A person who has struggled and continued practicing develops inner strength. Therefore, we should not hate difficulties completely. Instead, we can use them as opportunities to cultivate patience, mindfulness, and understanding. Just as a lotus flower rises beautifully from muddy water, wisdom can grow from suffering when guided by awareness. The Buddha's teaching is not distant from ordinary human life. It is practical, compassionate, and deeply healing. Every person listening today has the ability to transform suffering into understanding. Every person has the ability to become more patient, more loving, and more peaceful. The journey may sometimes feel slow, yet every sincere effort has value. Even one moment of mindfulness can prevent great suffering. Even one kind word can heal another heart. Even one act of forgiveness can change the direction of a life. Therefore, dear friends, let us continue practicing gently each day. Let us become protectors of our own minds and caretakers of our own hearts. Then wherever we go, we will carry peace within us and offer peace to the world around us. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitabha. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.